Now we're going to turn our attention to Marcus Rashford, and he's set to sign a new 5-year deal. Rashford is set to commit his long-term future to Manchester United after agreeing a deal in principle that will see him go until 2028. It's in the final stages of negotiation between the club and his representative, Dwayne Maynard. Rashford did receive one or two lucrative proposals from elsewhere, but the PSG thing, not so much.
I think there was interest a year ago, but certainly in this window when it started to rear its head again, I'm not convinced that ever really got off the ground. I think even a year ago it was loose interest. I think what fascinates me about this, and we've just been talking about Ten Hag's coaching, do you think Marcus Rashford this time last year would have been as inclined to commit his future to Manchester United? I think the answer is a definite no. But the way that he played last season, the way that he spearheaded the attack, the goals that he scored, I think he's earned the new contract, and I hope that he can continue on that upward trajectory now.
Yeah, I think this time last year, if you would have suggested to me that there was a chance that Manchester United might cash in on him, I probably would have thought it's possible.
There was talk of Arsenal, wasn't there?
Bearing in mind that he'd gone through 18 months, 2 years of having a very difficult time. But his performances and his rebirth this season has been nothing short of spectacular. And I spoke to Erik Ten Hag about that, and he said to me one of the things that he did was pretty simple. He said, "I'm going to make you happy. How do we make you happy?" And they discussed it. They discussed where they wanted it. He wanted to play, how they wanted to use him. He's been used in two positions really this season. One is on the left-hand side, attacking in from the wing, mainly his best position, I think, if you look at his goals. And he's also been used as an out-and-out forward. Sometimes that's been towards the latter end of matches when he's been moved into the centre of the pitch. But there's no doubt that the way his runs are brilliant. You know, if you look at him, he makes several runs before he gets the ball. A lot of times he's making darts in behind and no one spots him. He's a willing runner. He never gives up the chase, and he's been durable this season as well. And Erik Ten Hag actually has to deserve credit for that, because during the Manchester derby at Old Trafford, which Manchester United won, and he scored in that second half, he looked as if he couldn't walk at one stage, and he was hobbling around, and that was before half time. But I asked Erik Ten Hag whether or not he thought about taking him off. He went, "Oh no. No. This is the Premier League. You just have to get through it."
And that's a sign of the improved mentality as well, because I think under previous managers, Rashford wouldn't have reappeared for the second half. He would have succumbed to injury, but he didn't. And as you say, played a key part in that victory. One person we haven't mentioned when it comes to the resurrection of Marcus Rashford is Benny McCarthy, the striker coach at Manchester United. I think he deserves a lot of credit as well, because if you look at the improvement in Rashford's finishing, some of the chances that he took last season, he would have missed in previous years.
Yeah, and also I think Benny McCarthy's been very good in terms of building up the belief of some of the players as well. We sort of spoke to him earlier in the season, and he said, you know, this was a club whose morale was really low when the new coaching staff walked in the door, and they've done a lot to try and build them up. You'll see them, and would have seen them, especially at the beginning of the season, sort of giving each other high fives when they blocked a shot and it went out for a corner. You might remember there was sort of like that sort of lots of touching and sort of building each other up. And that was something that they said they had to put into the team in order to raise the mental level of the group. And if they can keep doing that, then the world is their oyster.
The other point I'd like to make when it comes to Marcus Rashford, and this goes back to what we were speaking about last week, the Dele Alli situation and some of the abuse that he's taken on social media. I do think that Rashford was more affected than we realise by the racial abuse that he suffered after missing that penalty at the Euros. And I don't think anybody really took that into account when it came to his loss of form. It takes a strong mentality to bounce straight back from that. And
Absolutely.
I think it took Marcus Rashford a bit longer than, say, Bukayo Saka.
Nosedives before that, though, I think he had serious issues with his back, which had caused him problems, and it made it very difficult for him in the build-up to the European Championships as well. And I think if you factor in the centre of attention that he became during the COVID lockdown, well, I'm not necessarily sure he was comfortable with the limelight as much as people make out. If you factor in the penalty miss and the racist abuse, the injury that he suffered over that period,
there was a relationship issue
as well during that period too. All of those things contributed to a downturn in form. What Marcus Rashford has to do now is back up his brilliant performance last season, 30 goals in 56 appearances, with another stellar season at the heart of Manchester United's attack. I hope he does it, because it's good not only for Manchester United, but it's great for England as well if you've got a fit and firing Marcus Rashford who's ready for the national team.